In this lesson, I want to show you 3 ways to take a basic melody and make it sound better. We're going to look at the melody to the tune Nobody's Fault But Mine and look at how to embellish it using double stops, fills, and chord substitutions. The chord substitutions are what you need to know to make the bass line more interesting. If you'd like to learn my arrangement of Nobody's Fault But Mine, you can get my PDF, the 5 8-bar blues you should know. Just go to the link below in the description and check it out. In the meantime, let's talk about these 3 ways to fix your melodies. All right, so Nobody's Fault But Mine is a tune from the 1920s, first recorded by Blind Willie Johnson. And the Blind Willie Johnson version is basically just a melody. He's playing it on slide, he's singing. And so it's a really kind of a blank canvas in that sense. You can do whatever you want with it. Now, I suppose if you don't play it exactly like the 1920s version, to some people that's sacrilegious. I kind of feel like the song's been done so many times by so many people that it's pretty much open season. That's my feeling about it. But we're going to look at this melody in the key of E, and the tune itself sounds like this. So I'm just using some basic 1, 4, and 5 chords in the bass, playing steady bass with my thumb. Now the first thing you can do once you know the melody is to add some double stops. And with a blues melody like this, the easiest way to start adding double stops is to add the root on the high string. Basically, anytime you're picking the melody on the 3rd string, you can also grab the high string. So use your index finger for the 3rd string, ring finger for the high string. And if you are doing any slides or hammer-ons or pull-offs, you're not going to actually worry about picking the high string while the left hand is sliding or hammering on or whatever it's doing. Right, so if you're going to slide and then pull off, then you don't have to worry about the high string while you're doing the pull off. And it'll still get the same effect. Here it is picking everything. And here it is not worrying about the pull offs. The pull offs makes the whole thing sound a little more fluid, but picking every note gives it a certain kind of insistency. So you get to choose what you're going to do to make it sound cool. Now, as the melody is going along, there are certain places where the melody rests and leaves some space. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And in that first space, you could add a fill. Now, it could be a chord fill like I'm doing. It could be more of a single note thing. I like the idea of a chord fill because there's not a lot of complete chords getting played in this arrangement. It's mostly the bass and the melody with a little bit of that double stop action. So I'm just adding in a G chord with the root, the 5th, the root, and the 3rd, and then an A chord with the root, the 5th, the root, and the 3rd. And that is, the timing is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it fits into the opening phrase. And so on the and of, let's see, 1 and 2, on the and of 2, the index finger is going to play the root, and then you're going to grab thumb, index, middle, ring, and then thumb, index, middle, ring on the A chord as well. And then go back into the melody. And so now you've got this sort of flow. And so that sort of connects up the 2 phrases without It provides a contrast because it's more of a chord thing than a melody thing. And so you get this melody phrase, and then you get the chord thing, and then you get more melody, which makes for some nice balance, and it fills in the space in a kind of meaningful way. And finally, you don't always want to just be sitting on the same note in the bass. And sometimes that's effective. It's certainly effective in the first half of the tune, as broken up with this fill. But then in the second half, it might be nice to have things move a little more. So instead of sitting on the thumb for a whole bar or for 2 bars, you're moving every 2 beats. So. And the logic behind that comes from thinking about some alternative chords you could play, or some chord substitutions. So I'm thinking E minor, and then E minor 7 with the 7th in the bass, and then going to an A chord, but with the 3rd, C sharp in the bass, and then going to either, you can think of this as either A minor, or from A to C7, and then F sharp 7 to B7. So the chords are going. And as long as those chords make sense, the bass line is going to make sense. Then you can make sure that the melody will still fit over that. And it does. So it works. Okay, so now let's compare what the melody sounds like without those 3 kinds of embellishments and with them. So here's the melody just played as a single note blues line over a steady bass. Now it still sounds pretty good because it's a great melody, but now here's what it sounds like adding in the double stops, the chord fills, and the new bass line. So there is the difference. Now these are 3 really good specific tools to use to start enhancing a melody that you know. You can almost always add double stops to a blues melody. Almost any blues tune leaves space because it's usually the melody to a vocal tune that's designed to have this kind of call and response quality. And the blues is based on a pretty foundational set of chords. It's sitting on the 1 or it's a 1-4-5. And so there's almost always some latitude to dress up the chords a little bit, which means you can start to do more interesting things with the bass if you want to. So these are 3 really good tools. You can also start thinking about things like syncopation and other kinds of rhythmic tools. But as far as just taking the melody and beginning to add some color and dimension to it, these are 3 really good places to start. So try these moves out on this tune or another tune that you're working on. And if you'd like to get the tab to this specific arrangement of Nobody's Fault But Mine, both the basic and the embellished version that I've been playing, download the PDF, the 5 8-bar blues you should know. There's a link below so you can check that out. In the meantime, if you got a question or a comment about today's lesson, please leave it for me down below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.